And now tonight, I'm dealing with what my producer brought to me, and I don't always agree with him on everything, and I disagreed even on this a little. And we've had our loggerheads, and I was going, I don't know more about this. This is something I'm going to step back, but I want to look at it honestly. And it's called The Big Bamboozle, and it's Philip Marshall. And here on Heart Talk tonight, I want to discuss the issue. Now, I've been in the military. I've dealt with secret ops. I've dealt with many operations. And I'm not going to go into it, neither am I going to publish a book about it, but neither will I tell you who I know or if I know anybody.
Do you think this was a black ops?
Now, do I think so? I don't know. And right now I'm being honest. Information is too sketchy for me right now. I have to look deeper. Do I think there are questions? Obviously.
Are you open to the possibility?
I'm open to the truth at all costs. Yes.
But it's possible.
So,
do you think it's possible that he killed himself and killed his kids?
I think it is possible, yes. However, do I believe that's the case? I don't know, as I said. And there's a thing I'm going to bring out to you people that many of you don't know and that you have to understand. And they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to vet it. They're not going to open the books and say, oh yeah, this is happening, this is how we do it. And this is why. This is one of those things where it's a decision that's made at the highest levels, and it's a decision that is done based on current operations. We'll call it that. And what does it mean? Congress. My producer's giving me the eye on
Congress killed Philip Marshall?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
no, I didn't say that. I didn't say this is true. I'm not vetting this is true. I'm not putting it out as the
NDAA.
No, and I'm not saying this is what happened.
Okay.
And I am not vetting that this is what is happening. However, let me put this as a theory of Walter B. My theory is I'm a big government and I'm controlling information, and I want certain information to be vetted as controlled, and if it goes beyond X, that we need to stop any leaks that would be counterproductive to the true security of our peoples and nations. And we don't want to put operatives in danger that may be doing objectives that we want to reach to maintain a certain level of security. And say that I see a potential problem due to a lack of discretion of one of my former operatives out there who's doing a little bit more than I authorized him to do in a certain scenario that I had set up. And all of a sudden, somebody else kind of got in the mix and told him he was authorized to do something that he didn't vet and he thought he could do. Let's just say that. What would I do? Well, there's two things I would do. First, I would send a warning. Two, I would make the warning effective. And three, if he ignored the warning and ignored the former directives, what would I have left to do if it was a high enough security level? I would think, well, we need to silence this and make sure the information that he does have is confiscated.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
And so what may have happened in my imagination...
Which would make sense. It's somebody that he knew. I always thought it was somebody that Philip Marshall knew.
And this man says, I want to come over, or a woman, wants to come over and talk to you and say, we need to discuss this issue in a quiet, private area so that we can negotiate some new terms. And of course he would be totally open for his own security. So this person comes by and says, oh, who's here tonight? Oh, your kids and dog. Oh, I didn't know they'd be here. But, oh, Hal, good to see you. Good to see you tonight. Y'all can go play. Your dad and I got to talk.
Yeah, but why not do it on the weekend? I mean, why do it Thursday when you know that the kids are going to go to school the next day?
Well, because of the necessity of the silencing and the message you may want to give.
Couldn't wait one day? You couldn't wait a day?
It would be less. It would be less impact. Impact. I would think impact is of key. Just like that general they found in a dumpster. That was not a random, arbitrary killing. Not that I disagree with whatever the authorities there said happened. They know what's going on. However, in certain circles, now I was debriefed from my area, and I wasn't a high level one either, but I had access to a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I will not and will not ever do is talk about who I knew, who was in position, and what and why, and that I have contacts here, there, or anywhere, because I don't. But if I did, I wouldn't tell you who, what, when, where, and how it was. Neither would I write books pointing at people, telling them they're the ones that did it and why and how. However, there are people that have the freedom of the press to go out and do what they want to do. As I have told you, and many within our areas, there are areas I go, and what did I say? And then areas that I will not go into. I will discuss them, I will pontificate on them, but it's not that I wouldn't investigate such things. But like I did the investigation of 911, I know who, what, when, where, there. I also knew that on Kennedy. I did the research there. I could point fingers and name names and go all out like some people have done, but I'm just not that type. I get the information and I'll say, this does not add up. If you want to do the investigation, you do it. But when you reach your conclusions, if they are right, be careful.
See, because why would they leave the body? Why would Philip Marshall's body was found in a visible place, in a place that you could see it. If it was some type of a hit, wouldn't you want to put him in the rooms or something? I mean,
if they wanted him to disappear and they wanted it to be poof, that makes more impact than anything else. Because special ops know what that means.
They had a time limit that they had to achieve these things by, because it does seem.
I agree. If that was the case, if this case scenario that we're imagining in our head is true, then let's just say that we had a timeline and we had to get this objective done.
We had to get it done then, because the whole thing is that he's a big football fan. So there was going to be, and this was the Super Bowl happened in his hometown.
That's correct.
So he was definitely, people were going to find him. He wasn't going to, you know what I mean? You could have waited after.
But we'll be right back. This is Walter Bradley. This is Hard Talk. And we want to talk about Philip Marshall. Are the allegations true? Was he killed? Was he hit because he had too much information in publishing his books? I don't believe it yet. I want to know the truth. Like you, I want to get to it. So join us right here on Hard Talk with Walter Bradley. Stand by. This message is brought to you by Mind Body Soul Productions, and we're looking at Pandemonium's Engine. This is featuring research which was done by Tom and Nina Horn, Gary Stearman, Noah Hutchins, and many more. I won't go through all the names, but if you're want to looking up something interesting to read by the firelight or take out and read with your son on a nice fishing trip, going up into the mountains, going over the areas that we are. My producer said, lift it up, dude. I'm not going to cut this if you don't do it right. So that's right. Sorry, Greg.
It's just going to look better.
It's going to look better.
You're going to get more of the book in there.
I know. If you block my face out, that improves the quality much better, but we're not going to do that. Unfortunately, you have to look at me. My condolences. But anyway, Pandemonium's Engine with Tom and Nina Horn and many other writers is a great book, because it goes into things that maybe you haven't thought about, and what are your universities studying and doing. And I saw a video last night, which I'm not going to reference or mention, because I want to look at it again myself, and it's dealing with deep underground military bases. Heard of a man named Phil Snyder and deep underground military bases, Tom Horn, and Philip Marshall. What do all these men have in common? His children and dog died with him. It is not a typical thing, in my opinion, when they're taking out somebody for information. They don't take out the children. They isolate and take out the threat. My question is, why were the children killed? Why were the dog involved? Why were they involved in this? See, we have to ask questions to get answers. The children did not have this knowledge, but maybe they felt, if it was indeed what people are alleging, Alex Jones and others, I don't mock that or knock that.
Alex Jones hasn't really said that much on this show.
I know, he brought it up, and I think he has some good points that need to be looked at. And every door needs to be knocked on, so to speak. But I like to ask questions. Would special ops be interested in killing children? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the disposition of knowledge they had and would they be willing to talk. In this case, I think if their dad died, they would have shut up and not said a word. So I don't think they were a threat. Why would the children be killed? Is somebody using his black ops ties to use that to remove him and put allegations on black ops? Could it be personal? These are questions that I need to ask and should ask you. Would that not be a possibility? I think it is. So, or is it that they allowed somebody personal, who had personal issues, to do that, and that was a cover to cover the facts that the black ops weren't. See, there are lots of smoke and mirrors involved in this type of case that cannot yet be seen, and maybe won't be seen for a while. But I think the curious things need to be mentioned, the facts. So we're just looking at this issue, and won't you look with us? Do you disagree with us? Do you think it was a hit? As you look at all the information, do you think it's strange? Some people do. Some people say it was a murder-suicide. What does the evidence indicate? Well, there's not much evidence that you can follow now, and there's not much we can do to check it. But we can look at the evidences and what happened there and after. And we'll come back right after this break with Hard Talk. I'm Walter Bradley. Greg Fernandez will join us right after this. Thanks. Don't forget, come back. We're going to talk. Barry Seal. Explain Barry Seal.
He's a CIA contract.
How does he tie in with Philip Marshall? Does he tie?
He ties because he was Philip Marshall was his taxi driver. He flew his planes because Barry Seal got to the point where his license was taken away, so he couldn't fly. So he brought in Philip Marshall, a young 24-year-old kid, to fly his planes while they shipped in drugs.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah. You know, and there's contacts that you don't lose. There's friends that you make during those times. Philip Marshall had some contacts, definitely.
Now, I heard in the one interview that you were playing that at least Alex Jones was playing.
No, that was from Coast to Coast.
That's Coast to Coast, excuse me.
With John B. Wells.
George Norrie, and so he was talking about he had contacts in the Black Ops community.
And I believe
why in the world would somebody say that in some public way? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
and if I was in Black Ops, I would not be. I might put my point across about what I think here and there, but I am not going to go into the areas of outing Black Ops for whatever they're doing, because two things are true in that type of scenario. You're upsetting operations, and you're pointing to yourself as a contact that knows who is where and what. Those kinds of links are not a public thing, and even though I may disagree with what our government's doing in different areas, I am not going to out or jeopardize somebody's life and base it on my big passion to tell everybody everything on all that I know. There are limitations. You need to guide, and you need to move wisely in revelation, as I've often said with you. And as much as I disagree with the death, and if it was a murder, i.e. as alleged a hit, he bears some responsibility in blowing up his mouth a little bit too big in those areas. And it's not a wise thing to sit there and say, oh yeah, I know somebody on the inside here and there, and I'm the contact, I know him, I talk to him regularly. That sets up somebody monitoring him of a foreign government and getting them killed, or himself, or others, and that may not have anything to do with his involvement with these books or anything else. And these are aspects that aren't brought up, but bear being reminded that, hey, wait a minute.
What happened was Philip Marshall said that he had friends in Blackwater. I mean, he said other places too, but he specifically mentioned Blackwater. And anyone that knows what Blackwater is, I don't know if those are contacts that I would trust, first of all. And,
well, he obviously trusted him.
He trusted somebody, but...
But was it that which got him killed? Now, we can't blame... We cannot blame Blackwater, and I wouldn't blame Blackwater. I wouldn't blame anybody. But you have to take evidence as it's there. And unfortunately, it's not. But that leaves us only with what they want you to have is speculation. And the inference of it could be this.
Sure.
In which they love. That's
want
nothing.
us. But see, they're trying to train us to not even go there. Don't worry about what it could be unless you have the proof. Don't even think about it. It's like no. The point that you're thinking about is to get you to whatever the truth is.
But they may be trying to guide you that way too.
It's just kind of like don't even question it because then you're gonna.
Sometimes it's kind of set the bait and watch the rats come. So we have to go with knowledge and do it carefully.
But you don't see yourself as a rat. You see
No.
That's
just a metaphor.
Who's just looking.
It's just saying it could be that they're baiting us.
Sure.
And you always have to go with what you know. You can't use speculation or what even officials say. Because officials may not know what is true. Well, of course, but they may be even in the dark, which is the biggest problem that I think we're facing here. So I don't think the sheriff.
Hard for me to believe.
I don't think the sheriff knows everything there is to know about.
Well, I'm not saying the sheriff.
And especially since it was cleared out, the house was cleared out. What you said 2 days after it was done.
Look at are the officers who showed up on site. Number one.
Were sheriffs or who?
Sheriff's deputies. Those are the.
That's verified. They showed up first.
What is their report? Not what they've told us. What did they write down in their police report? That's number one. Number two, what did the witnesses see?
Yep. Those are verifiable, hopefully verifiable facts.
They saw. What did they really see? And I think that'll tell us a lot. Third is did Philip Marshall fire a weapon? Did they find any evidence that he fired a weapon? Fourth, what is the motive? And I haven't really seen too many answers on any of these.
Well, the thing about it is, when you fire a gun, you get flash on the hands and on the shirt or wherever you. And if you're shooting at close proximity, you get it on your head and even within the wound.
Okay.
That's if it's close, and it will be there if it's close. If it is anything beyond that, you won't have it on the individual. They will have a slight spray, and their hit point, if they're above a certain amount of distance, and there's a pattern that will come from different guns that will produce a pattern based on the distance and the type of weapon, the 185, depending on what it is and what the shell is, and so forth. And it would be interesting to note what type of bullet was found per se, as the weapons was it was a 9mm. They said it was a 9mm gunshot to the left side of the head. Being a right-handed person and most likely a right-handed shooter.
Show us how you do it.
What?
Show us how possible it is.
Well, you can do that just like this.
Okay.
You can do it just like. But why would you, if you want to shoot or kill yourself, would you go? It's uncomfortable. It's kind of dumb, and you just want to go like, okay, hit the game point, get the main part of the brain. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be like this. If I'm gonna kill myself, and I'm mad about something,
are you gonna be standing up?
I may want to stand up. It's not going to stop me one way or the other. I may say I want to just stand up and do it this way, where they'll find me. So
but you went to your right, so you have got to go over here. We're trying to retrace this stuff.
And the thing about it is, he's right-handed shooter most likely. Like I'm a left-handed writer, but I shoot with my right hand. I can shoot with my left hand too, but I prefer my right. Why? Because to me that's more comfortable. But I can shoot with this and feel almost as comfortable, but not quite. And so I like the right hand. And it's just a manifestation of how you're wired in your brain as to how you affect your area of use. Like, you notice which hand I'm picking up this beer. Which is it, my left or right hand?
Right.
This is my right hand. I start the car with my right hand. I don't get my left hand and go, because I write with my left hand. That's not feasible. The thing is, most left-handed people are left-handed writers mostly only. Some are left-handed batters and are right-handed people. These things are different, and there's not been a study that's actually dealt with this, or if there has, it's not published or talked about. But these things are not discussed in the case of Philip Marshall. He was a right-handed person who was shot on the left side of the head. Some people were saying, oh, he was left-handed. No, he wasn't. From all indications,
How do you know?
by the fact that the people there said he wrote with his right hand, so shot with his right hand.
He grabbed things with his right
and he
hand.
picked up things, just like me. I'm left-handed. However, I use a lot of right-handed moving. I'm picking up my books with right hands. I could use my left hand, but I only write left-handed. So there's a lot of talk about this that doesn't add up to me. That why would he shoot himself in the left side? He'd have to have the gun in his left hand. That could be done.
Well, that was the question. Someone was saying maybe
he just picked it up with his left hand.
Well,
and he shot
maybe
with his
when
left hand.
he walked into the house, maybe the person was waiting on the left side. But there's not really much room.
That would make sense because you know what? The glass was on the right. The glass entryway, which he had, there's the door, a glass picture window almost as tall as the door on the porch. And if you look in, you can see in. But if anybody's in there, you open the door and you turn and you shut it and you go, oh, boom, block. And after the kids are dead, the dog is dead because the dog came after you when you were coming in and you had to get the kids. Oops, boom, the kids are there. You go kill the kids and go, gosh, I didn't know kids were here. Ooh, too bad. Then it's all a surprise thing. So my effect is this. Came through that back door, came up, the dog actuated, the kids were up, and he shot the dog and they go, oh, get out of here. Boom, boom, they're dead. He puts them aside or leaves them there. And here's Dad coming, what? What's happening? He steps in checking his kids. Boom. Flip, put the gun in his hand. It's all so convenient.
That was the other weird thing because they said that they found the gun lying underneath him. So from their theory, he shoots himself in the head. He falls down. The gun falls under him somehow, and he's found lying face up. So it gets even stranger. It's just like, whoa, man! Like, how do you come to that conclusion so easily?
Well, it doesn't make sense that he's going to do it this way. And then when you shoot your gun, you actually tighten up.
Where would it go? So if I shot myself here, it probably would go back. It wouldn't go under me.
Right. It would hit, and your natural thing is like this.
And it would fall away.
It would fall away.
It wouldn't go under me.
Boom! It wouldn't be like because you would be shooting and it would go away, and your mind and your body have released because you're dead. You just and it falls in front and it would be over.
I don't see how it could fall underneath you. And I don't see that.
And it's unlikely that would be the case. In a special circumstance, when if you were holding it loosely and boom, and the gun goes up and you go and then it falls and blip. Possibilities are there. But not likely when you're holding it and you shoot and it's not going to naturally just fly out of your hand like that.
Well, even if it would have had to have gone behind me or something.
It depends on where they found this. Now, it's possible he shot and he
right
dropped the gun and it bounced on the ground beside him. And as he's falling, it bounces and then ends up there. He could fall, and it depends on his hold on the gun. And if he's holding it loosely and it boom, then it could fall out of the hand, possibly. But I don't see that as much of a thing. When you're holding a gun to shoot yourself, you have to hold it. And these fingers tighten up. And you go boom, and it doesn't naturally just go like that. It's just, you relax. But the fingers are still there, the gun is still locked. And it would still be in the hand, actually. So it doesn't make sense that the gun would be under it. That would be like somebody going boom, clean the gun, drop the gun. Right. You're wearing the glove, boom, drop. Don't get blood on you, as the spray already got on them. Because when you're that close, you're going to get flashback a little. little blood, and it's going to be
I just don't buy it, and I don't think any logical person could buy it either.
It does sound strange.
It doesn't make sense.
And it doesn't make sense, but my scenario makes a little sense. Behind the door, he comes in first. He finds the kids there, whoever, or she, or they, and they kill the dog because it comes after them because they're strangers. They don't recognize them.
Well, remember, the dog was found in the bedroom.
Yep.
And it looks like you would go to the bed. If you're coming from the back of the Marshall house, from all of that wooded area and everything, you probably go right through that door. And that's that.
Now, that's interesting. There was 3 levels of steps.
Well, there were 2 that
so that means somebody could come in the bottom door, one at the top. So one comes in, comes up, covers bottom, other at the top. The dog's there, blip, blip, get the kids, get the dog. That could be there in that scenario. The other one waits down, and there's always a guarantee person. This guy doesn't do it, he comes in and finishes it. Carries away evidence of any intrusion. But the thing is, they left the door open. That must mean they were in a hurry, because they normally would have shut the door.
It was like a side door. The door where that wooden porch,
right.
The porch
was. So it normally would have been shut, and that means that if it was left open, there might have been an interruption and they had to go. They were carrying something out, or maybe they were getting out and they had to get away quick, and they didn't want to shut it. Because if you don't want to leave any evidence of any intrusion, you want to make sure everything is like it is normally. Being that is abnormal and not, lends to the fact that it could have been somebody did this.
Well, it's going to be hard to show now because they've already cleaned up the whole place. It looks like.
And that means this, importantly, that we don't have any evidence that can be vetted, which makes this the perfect cover. Well, you've got your sayings, but there's no evidence. So we can speculate, and that's basically what we're left with right now, and it doesn't leave us much to grasp, except eyewitness testimony, and we're waiting for the toxicology and the autopsy. Now, have they autopsied all 3? I would assume they would have. Mm-hmm. And we will see what the autopsy reports indicate, or what they leave out, or what they put in, and we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we have more to say on this subject. We haven't come to any conclusions, and we're not saying this was a hit.
No.
What we are saying is, man, this is strange. And it is. However, it is what it is. And this is Walter Bradley, this is Greg Fernandez, this is Heart Talk, and we're here to tell and reach the truth, not speculate. So that's what we're working on. If you have any information or thoughts, leave comments beneath on this little vid, and we'll get back to you. And I'm getting more involved with answering those questions. Step back, we'll get back to you in a short time. Thank you. Walter Bradley, Greg Fernandez. This is Heart Talk. But this is Walter Bradley, Greg Fernandez. We've gotten our time up for this little segment. But this is Heart Talk. This is Walter Bradley. We're talking about Philip Marshall.